If you are a professional athlete, your schedule of where you are going to be at what time on what day is published to the world every single season. Hey, I'm Joe Siegel, your asset protection lawyer here in Orlando, Florida. And I want to talk today about the stories we are hearing almost daily, weekly about pro athletes' homes that are being robbed while they are playing the game. And it's just driving me insane that this is happening because it's so easily avoided and prevented. For instance, Bloomberg just ran an article in their US edition, and it's called "The Game Starts at 8, the Robbery Starts at 8:01." And it's about a group of young Chilean criminals who would watch when a sports team was going to be playing. They knew exactly where the quarterback lived or some other big player, big name player lived, and they would just wait until the game started. They go break into their house during the game, rob them blind, and leave because they knew the house was going to be empty. So if you are a sports star, if you're anyone who travels a lot or they know who it is absolutely at this point, if you especially are in Florida, if you are in Illinois, if you're in Indiana, any of these states that have the land trust statute, if you are still buying your houses solely in your name, so that and then it gets published in every newspaper. I'm sitting here looking, right here's a story I'm looking at in the Orlando Business Journal. Former Orlando Magic player Mo Bamba sells downtown Orlando penthouse for $2.6 million. Everybody knew that Mo lived in a big penthouse in the condo is called The View in downtown Orlando. Everybody knew he was there. Now, that building has security. You would hope that no crooks would be able to just walk in past security, go up to his penthouse and rob him during a game, which is smart. But then in the other place, you see a story of Desmond Bain purchases Windermere home. So everybody knows exactly where it is in Orlando, Windermere, a former Major League Baseball player, Johnny Peralta, for $4.1 million. So everybody knows now that Johnny Peralta, where he used to live, is now owned by Desmond Bain, a guard for the Orlando Magic. So, these guys are out there, and I think it's sort of, I've had this happen with young entrepreneurs. They are very proud of what they've done. They're proud of their achievements. So they are very happy that the news picks up. They just spent $4.1 million for a new house. They're happy, Johnny Isaac with the Orlando Magic, that everybody sees that he just bought a big luxury home in Winter Park, so that crooks can now go, okay, well, here's the Magic schedule, and here's where Jonathan Isaac lives. Here's where Desmond Bain lives. I'll just go break into their house now. So had these folks used a land trust, number one, they could have kept the purchase price off the public records, so no one would have known how much they paid for the house. Number two, they could keep their name. If they used a third-party trustee to hold the title to the house for them, their name would not appear on it. So crooks could not just go, hey, let me look up Desmond Bain's name and see where he lives and be done with it. Now, this story sort of hits home for me because the very first home I ever bought in Orlando when I first moved to Florida was owned by a former boy band member. It was back in the day in 2000, 2001, back when the boy bands were at their height. Well, actually, they were starting to wane a little bit. And when we bought the house, neighbors came over to meet us, and they all said, well, we're just glad that they've moved out because all these people were constantly coming to this house. The neighborhood was not gated. The house was modest. It was, 3,500 square foot house. It was a modest little house on a lake out in West Orange County. But the neighbors were like, yeah, we would have to call the police all the time because people were always snooping around the house, and they knew when the boys were on a tour, they knew when they were traveling, so they would come by the house to see if they could get in and take something of the boys as a memento that they would have it forever. I've done closings in the past of several boy band members, very famous boy band members in Orlando. Being in Orlando, it's sort of what you're going to do. And it was always interesting because the smart ones, number one, I didn't realize that it was the boy band member's house that was even being closed. I saw it as a big house. It was a lot of money, and it was being sold. And I wouldn't know whose house it was until the realtor said, "Oh, this is so and so's house." And I go, "Really? But it shows the titles in this." And they go, "Yes, that's his sister under her new married name. She's the trustee of the land trust that holds title to the property." Others, if they did not live in gated communities, they would often use a trust. That was one of my first experiences with land trust. When I first saw them being used was boy band members in Orlando were smart enough to think, "Hey, everybody knows when I'm gone, when I'm on tour, and they'll know where I live." Not only that, but I would be doing the closing, and I had one, and he was signing, and I said, "Wow, I really expected your signature to be a lot bigger and crazier, considering how much you have to sign." And he go, "No, no, 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 no. That's my legal signature. My autograph looks totally different because we're taught very early as, celebrities that we are to have one signature for an autograph. That's our autograph. But we have another signature, a true signature that we use when we are signing contracts and legal documents, because it's too easy for someone to take our autograph and slap it on a document and say, 'Here, you sign this contract agreeing to buy my song and pay me royalties for this song.'" Things like that. So it seemed like the boy band members were just a lot more savvy when it came to their business dealings, when it came to their real estate dealings, than the athletes that I've done closings for. The athletes are like, "Yeah, put it in my name. I want the whole world to know I've just bought this $4.1 million house, this $2.5 million house, this big luxury house in Windermere, this big luxury house in Winter Park. And I want them all to know what I just bought. I want to be on MTV Cribs back when they did that. I want everybody to see my house." So that then all they've got to do is take your schedule and go, "Okay, he's in Miami today. So I know the house will be empty during the game. I will go and break into the house at this time and steal everything they have." YouTube is replete with videos of football players, basketball players, baseball players who are ticked off because the gall that someone went and broke into their house. And unfortunately, in a lot of those states, they don't have the land trust. But if you are an athlete, if you are a social media creator, if you are if you're a boy band member, if you're a celebrity, if you're in the public eye in any way in the state of Florida, in Indiana, in Illinois, if you are holding title to your real estate in your name, you run the risk of being doxxed, of being swatted, look it up, of being robbed, of being kidnapped, because you have just put it out there exactly where you live and everything about an easy way to find your home when you're there, when you're not there. So my advice is definitely, if you can, in those states, put your property into a land trust and use a third-party trustee. Had I been smart, I would have looked up this lady and I would have seen, "Oh, you're so-and-so, the boy band member's sister. So this must be his house." I have been able to look up in my own neighborhood in College Park, Florida. I have seen very large houses get sold, and the word on the street was, well, it was a Magic player. It was an Orlando Magic NBA basketball player, or it was a Tampa Bay Rays baseball player. It was some big athlete or some big celebrity had bought this house. And I would look it up because I'm a real estate lawyer. It's what I do. I look it up to see how the title's held. Unfortunately, a lot of times it is directly in their name, which is, again, stupid. But sometimes they had put it into a land trust. They were smart. They put it into a land trust, but they named their agent in New York or their agent in LA or Miami as their trustee of the trust. So anyone who looks up that person knows, "Oh, this guy's a big sports agent. He's the trustee of this property. Must be a big sports star that lives there. So I can probably figure out who it is. I can look at their game schedule based on the city that they're in, whether it's an MLB soccer player, an NBA basketball player, an MLB baseball player, whatever they may be, NFL football player. I will be able to look up this agent, see who he represents, who would be playing in that town on a regular basis, who would be on that team, and I can figure it out." If you use a third-party trustee that is totally unrelated to your agent, totally unrelated to you, you're not going to have that problem. Now, again, it is not just boy band members. It is not just big celebrities. It is not just pro athletes who need to be worried about this. I have a lot of folks who are creators on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, who will put their properties into a land trust with us to hold it because, number one, if they're doing well, they do very, very well. on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. People are going to see them. And they're going to know when they're traveling because you're balling. You're out there showing everybody you're on the yacht in the Mediterranean. You're on a cruise. You're somewhere else other than your house. So they know most likely the house is empty. They're going to case it. They're going to break in. They're going to rob you. They know where you live. If they get angry at you, they can dox you. They can SWAT you. That's where they call in a fake call to 911 and have the SWAT team show up at your property, and you may be home. And now the SWAT team is raiding your house, and you're at home like, what in the world's going on? That's called swatting. So these are things that happen to celebrities all the time, and you just have to be careful about it. And one of the tools that you have, if you own the real estate, if it's where you live, or it may be your warehouse where your merchandise is kept and distributed from. It may be an office building that you own. It may be a retail establishment that you own. You're going to want to own those in LLCs. You're going to want to own them in land trust to keep your name off the records. The only place you want to be famous is on the court, on the screen, on the field. You don't want to be famous in the official records.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Trust This. If you got something out of it, please press like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review to help us reach others who can benefit from this series. Until next time, keep aspiring to a better life.